Story 1. When communicating, talking is an important part, but more importantly, listening to the other person is essential. I don't see much of that. It's usually a one-way conversation, leaving one person with the short end of the stick. Story 2. Admitting when you don't know something is important. There are too many people who form opinions based on little to no knowledge of the subject. Recently, I told someone at a party, "Sorry, I don't know enough about it to have an opinion," and he looked visibly confused. This example referred to a sport I neither watch nor play, but I have used that same sentence in other contexts before. Story 3. Reading comprehension skills have declined to the point where one cannot explicitly condemn something bad without being accused of glorifying it. For example, in the Pinocchio remake, Pleasure Island cannot depict smoking and underage drinking, even though these behaviors are explicitly punished in the story. Instead, the characters are shown enjoying candy and carnival rides, which ultimately leads to their transformation into donkeys, loss of their intelligence, and being sold into a life of slavery. That conveys a great message. Disney. Story 4. I have a good sense of direction, and I'm one of those people. Since I started driving, GPS on a phone has become common, and now I use it frequently. Story 5. Basic cooking skills are essential, yet many people rely on takeout or pre-made meals. Knowing how to prepare a simple, healthy meal is an important life skill that saves money and is often much healthier. Story 6. My theory is that people retain less information on average because we can easily look things up now. This is a wonderful development. We do not have to remember phone numbers, our boss's name, how to say hello in Swedish, or how to drive to the nearest store. However, if we were to experience a situation that disables our electronics, we would likely struggle significantly. Story 7. Putting a phone to your ear and speaking quietly into it is better than having the entire waiting room hear both sides of your conversation while you shout into it at arm's length. Story 8. Deductive reasoning skills are essential. It is astounding how many people I encounter who struggle to think about what comes next. I spend every day trying to help my kids understand this concept, but it seems foreign to them. It is mind-boggling. Story 9. As strange as it may sound, boredom can lead to significant creativity. However, it seems that people today are rarely experiencing it. We constantly seek entertainment and strive to have access to various forms of amusement at all times. Story 10. Grammar and punctuation are essential. I am a fan of language evolution. It should change over time, which is why we have a multitude of beautiful and diverse languages. However, changes need to occur slowly enough that the integrity of communication remains intact. If language evolves in a way that makes it unclear what a person is saying, it is not useful to anyone. This is why slang works well. A new word emerges, and through context and usage, we determine its meaning. However, the last 10 years have seen a dramatic drop in the comprehensibility of messages. A sentence today can appear as just a list of words without full stops, occasional commas, and incorrect words that create a completely different meaning. A social media post might be titled something like, "That moment when you know what she likes, but not on Tuesday." Story 11, just waking up and having our day without decisions. I see a lack of honesty and commitment in marriages. Sometimes I feel that 30 years ago, some of these people who were actually nice would have been fine. However, this social media world is challenging. I want to ensure my children interact with others, not just through sports, but by practicing conversations and learning what true trust is. Story 12. Resilience in the face of opposition, divergence, or frustration. When things don't go your way, the world presents resistance to your expectations. People may disagree with you, someone may say something you dislike, or someone may not meet your expectations. It can feel overwhelming, but it is important to maintain perspective. Story 13. As someone in information technology, basic problem-solving and troubleshooting skills are essential. This applies beyond information technology and computer issues as well. People often seek immediate answers and solutions. I admit I can be guilty of this too. However, I always take a few minutes to research something. Story 14. We ask potential interns to address an envelope and put a stamp on it. Most do not know how to perform this basic life skill. This all started a few years ago when we asked an intern to address and put stamps on birthday cards for the month. Every envelope had the stamp in a different wrong place and the to address in various locations. We never imagined we would have to provide a sample envelope for someone about to graduate from university. Now, if an intern can't complete this task properly during the interview, we know they lack basic life skills. Story 15. How to drive a manual transmission vehicle. In my country, it has become difficult to find manual transmission cars. I wouldn't mind owning one again as a theft deterrent. Story 16. Reading a bus or train schedule without using an application can be challenging. The daughter of a friend of mine was unable to determine the travel timings without the app. Story 17. Street smarts and survival instincts. Most people are so sheltered by our modern society that they cannot comprehend how dangerous the world can be. Some individuals travel to war-torn countries to demonstrate that everyone is peaceful but end up in perilous situations. Story 18. In the age of do your own research, it seems that many have no idea how to actually perform or approach research. I have been in multiple conversations where, believe it or not, a meme from a social media feed was the source of their proof. What's more shocking is how entrenched people have become in believing what they see. I grew up with the notion to believe nothing that you see on the internet and to source proof more thoroughly. These days, it appears that the vast majority of people believe anything they see on their feeds. Oh, and if you reference scientific studies or literature, people glaze over like a deer about to get run down by a vehicle. Then, after a time, they shout, "You must be one of the sheep," and go about their disengaged lives as if nothing ever happened. It's really a shame. Story 19. Manners, motivation, ambition, human interaction, the ability to self-teach, appropriate dressing in public, active listening, and making choices based on logic rather than emotion are essential skills. Empathy, self-discipline, and self-awareness are also important. Story 20. Being able to discuss a subject civilly is important. No one wants to listen and try to understand different points of view. In the past, I have had many conversations where, even if I disagreed, a civil exchange allowed me to understand a differing opinion. It seems that discussions often devolve into name-calling and labeling people for having their own beliefs. Story 21. Cursive writing, actual conversation, manners such as please, thank you, excuse me, and may I, along with a grasp of grammar. Story 22. Just looking where you are going. It seems it is everyone else's responsibility to get out of the way of these phone-watching zombies. Story 23. For the village to work, you have to give as well as take. For instance, if you complain that it's not your job to babysit your siblings, then act surprised when you become a parent and your parents say the same thing. You can't get upset when your neighbor asks for help and you decline, only to find they say no when you need assistance. I receive help because I contribute to the community, so the community is there for me when I need it. Story 24. Critical thinking has significantly declined among most people, and it continues to worsen. Children today seem to be struggling more than ever. Story 25. Critical thinking skills seem to be becoming exceedingly rare. Misinformation is everywhere, and more people are falling for it. Story 26. While it might sound like a relic from the past, blacksmithing is a fascinating skill. Imagine shaping metal with fire and a hammer, creating both functional and artistic pieces. It is a craft that connects us to our historical roots and allows for creativity. Story 27. Resilience involves reading an analog clock, writing one's name, and putting effort into various tasks. It also includes respecting and understanding those who are trying to help you. This is a reminder for teachers, in case it wasn't clear. Story 28. Common respect for strangers. The common courtesy of a simple smile, a nod of thanks, or offering help in a meaningful way when someone is hurt or in trouble has been replaced by a level of sheer disrespect for others that I would not wish on my worst enemy. As far as helping others goes, it is more likely that someone will film you as you struggle than call for help. And heaven help you if you are a police officer in need of assistance, because no one else will, although someone may attempt to steal your gun if they can or simply assist the other person. Story 29. I say this as someone who lacks computer skills. I know how to use the internet, but not actual computers. I know many millennials who understand how to navigate their software and troubleshoot their own issues. I'm envious. I only remember having one class about computer literacy in elementary school, and every other computer class was focused on typing or learning games. It seems they stopped caring as long as we knew how to use Google Workspace. I think a lot of people assume it's something we would inherently know as a generation that has always had computers. It's frustrating to navigate things as an adult that seem like basic knowledge to others. I often wonder, what does it mean to unzip a file? Or, why does everyone seem to automatically know every keyboard shortcut? Sometimes I feel out of touch. Story 31. Mental math. 2. Any math that does not require a calculator. 3. Using a physical dictionary. Story 31. It seems people no longer know how to use the search bar. Many subreddits and Facebook groups are filled with the same questions repeatedly. Story 32. Everyone wants everything instantly. A reply to an email, a message back. People's attention spans have shortened, and it seems that everyone is increasingly impatient these days. This is particularly noticeable when waiting in line. Someone is always in a hurry, trying to push past you as if your time is any less valuable than theirs. Story 33. Critical thinking is essential. Many adults struggle to manage a situation when it does not go as planned, often relying on constant support. Story 34. Speaking for myself regarding car care, I only passed my test a few months ago and I am worried about the basics, such as knowing where my oil is and how to check if it's at the right level, including tire pressure. I was never taught this in any of my lessons, and I believe that when driving a large vehicle, you should be confident in how to take care of it. Story 35. Composing a proper business letter. Driving a manual vehicle. Maneuvering in tight spaces without the use of a backup camera. Reading and writing in cursive. Reading a paper map. Story 36. Map reading has been largely replaced by GPS and smartphone navigation, diminishing the need to read physical maps and understand geographic orientation. Story 37. Focusing for an extended period is challenging. We have trained ourselves and our society to focus only for short bursts, after which we become bored and seek new stimulation. This shift is quite concerning. Story 38. The ability to think for themselves is important. It is sad to see this, especially among those who watch entertainment news. Story 39. 1. The ability to have a conversation through speaking. More people communicate better through typing, handwriting, patience, the internet, how shows are produced, and the speed of our electronics contribute to people's desire for instant gratification. They often do not understand the importance of patience. This is a significant challenge. By the time we master the art of waiting, there is not much waiting left to do. Story 40. Emotional regulation and coping skills are important. While I am not suggesting that people in the past were necessarily better at these skills, I do believe that parents today are more likely to neglect teaching their children how to manage feelings of upset and disappointment. This has led to individuals who struggle to handle even minor disagreements or setbacks without becoming overwhelmed. Story 41. Being able to speak clearly and consecutively without taking a pause or using filler words is important. It can be frustrating and give the impression that the speaker lacks confidence or knowledge in their subject. Story 42. The ability to fix things is becoming rare. We have turned into a throwaway society, and as a result, knowledge that was once common is now lost. I recently retired as an industrial maintenance technician. Over the last 10 years, I have been advising people who want to earn a good income to seek training. Taking courses in mechanics, electrical systems, and electronics can be very beneficial. With some computer skills, you can easily start earning $35 to $40 per hour. It is not difficult to make a decent living, yet many prefer to complain about not earning a living wage as a barista. Story 43. Resilience. I just saw someone on Reddit who wondered if they should quit their job because the business was playing Christian music in the background. Grow a backbone. Story 44. There are many life skills that we are losing as a society. such as the polite nod or hand wave when someone lets you cut in traffic or allowing people off the elevator before getting on. The concept of peaceful coexistence seems to be fading. Everyone feels the need to have a louder presence even in calm, quiet places. Just because there aren't signs that say to keep your volume down, it doesn't mean it's acceptable to laugh loudly or speak into a Bluetooth device while others are working nearby. What is that? We should also remember to respect personal boundaries when we start poking around other people's property, whether in their home or car, and taking things like their mail or adjusting the volume on their stereo. Acting as if what you see is yours is my biggest concern with people's behavior lately. Who raised you? Story 45. It's not exactly a skill, but I feel like no one cares about whether Luigi exists in the video game Super Mario 64 anymore. Story 46. Gratitude for the many places and experiences available to people is essential. However, wherever I go, it seems that some visitors disregard the respect these places deserve, spoiling them for future generations. Mount Fuji is an example, as netting has been installed to deter people from littering in local villages. Story 47, or the response, can we have a call? No. Read the email and answer the straightforward questions. If I wanted to speak with you, I would. Additionally, I need a record of what is agreed upon, and often an audit trail to demonstrate any delays on your part. Story 48. Attending a meal without prior menu planning and either eating your food or pretending to do so is not considerate. Your host is not a short-order cook. Being overly selective about food is not a virtue. It is an issue that needs to be addressed. Story 49. Patience is essential when waiting for something. As a child, we had video cassette recorders and video game systems, enabling us to watch movies but only if we had them on video. If the store didn't have a copy, there was nothing we could do. If we missed the latest episode and forgot to record it, it was the same situation. I mention this because my parents had only 3 channels on their black and white television, and video cassette recorders and movie rentals were not common unless you were a well-known celebrity able to obtain a film reel of the latest release. Otherwise, you had to wait 3 to 4 years until it finally aired on television. While our generation may have enjoyed better home media options and cable television than our parents, today's children often display little patience or attention span. They seem to need a screen in front of them every few seconds and have instant access to every show and movie available. It's quite concerning. I feel fortunate to have grown up when I did. I remember being upset that we weren't home in time to see a repeat of a SpongeBob episode in about 2001, but my mother helped me see the bigger picture. Story 50. The complaining is slowly affecting me. I'm a supervisor in a large factory, with employees ranging from young to old and from tattooed to straight-laced. Everyone sees themselves as a victim, and they believe others are out to get them. The 24-hour news cycle tells us we are victims, regardless of the side we choose, which influences our behavior. Story 51. Communication and listening skills are essential. I often find myself explaining things multiple times, only to have others respond with indifference and then make mistakes. Story 52. Whistling in harmony with the birds, juggling while reciting Shakespeare, and navigating without global positioning system are becoming endangered life skills. Story 53. Cooking in big cities where restaurants and food delivery are cheap and easily accessible seems to make people less inclined to cook at home. Story 54. Manage their lives well, fix things, cook, work consistently and efficiently, think for themselves, and understand accountability and responsibility. This is just a short list. Story 55. Not knowing how to perform basic maintenance on a car can be challenging. Simple tasks like changing a bulb, putting on a spare tire, ensuring the tires have air, and replacing wiper blades are essential. I understand if someone cannot do an oil change or replace a belt. That's acceptable. However, it's concerning to see someone charged $70 to have a bulb replaced. Story 56. Map skills, banking, writing checks, balancing their checkbook, cooking, cleaning, sewing, common maintenance for housing and automobiles, manners, respect for elders, and appearance for job interviews. Story 57. The ability to be bad at something and still try is important. Short attention spans and the desire to share everything on social media have turned everyone into perfectionists. This makes it challenging to lead any casual class that doesn't produce something camera-ready in every session. Story 58. Very few people understand how things physically work, such as how a house is constructed, where water comes from, or where the sewage goes. They may not comprehend how electricity functions or what makes a car move when the gas pedal is pressed. Even computer literacy is declining. The younger generations are struggling. Growing up with a tablet does not make someone a technology expert. It often has the opposite effect. Story 59. From what I see, people are often incapable of self-responsibility. If anything bad happens, it is always someone or something's fault. Additionally, there is a lack of abstract thinking and the ability to use deduction to repair things around the home. Fixing things before they actually break and troubleshooting issues can lead to becoming a better informed person. Story 60. The diplomatic art of smiling and nodding until whoever is causing a disturbance directs their chaos onto someone else, then proceeding to do what you intended to do anyway. Today, many would rather spend a day arguing with a powerless opponent and appearing right in front of others than actually accomplishing what needs to be done. Story 61. Patience. People genuinely seem to struggle to slow down. I understand our society encourages us to live in a state of being perpetually busy, but many do not realize how unhappy it makes them. I admit I struggle with this too, but I try my best to find moments in my day to engage in mindful activities, and it makes a significant difference. Story 62. The ability to agree to disagree. People become overly concerned about differing opinions and cannot seem to let them go. Story 63. Cybersecurity has become a significant concern as younger millennials and Generation Z tend to share personal information more freely online. There is a common misconception that one must be relevant or popular to be doxxed. This is not the case, as I've experienced being doxxed for no reason. Story 64. Coping with stressful situations, such as flying, can be challenging. While some may advocate for simply sucking it up and pulling it together, there is a growing awareness around anxiety and mental health. Many people feel that they face unique challenges, often citing anxiety as a reason for their discomfort. However, it's important to recognize that everyone experiences anxiety in different ways. Story 65. Ensure the person you are speaking with can hear you. Look at them and speak clearly and loudly enough to be understood. Avoid starting a conversation with someone and then turning away, only to be frustrated when they ask you to repeat what you said. If you are speaking to multiple people and need to address one in particular, direct your gaze at that person. This way, everyone will know who you are talking to, preventing any awkward confusion among the group. Story 66. Reading analog clocks. I was in an exam recently, and the clock was analog, not digital. Some people genuinely didn't have enough time to finish because they couldn't read the clock. Story 67. Being assertive. We often see posts about someone at work being mean or how difficult it is to go to work. There are also situations like being cut in line at the grocery store. There are many ways to express your dissatisfaction with someone's behavior, and most do not require the use of profanity. However, if the situation calls for it, you can express yourself freely. Addressing issues can be satisfying, especially if someone truly deserves it. Just remember not to let people take advantage of you. Otherwise, you may find it necessary to seek additional support to cope with today's challenges. Story 68. Weirdly enough, the power of being bored is significant. There is so much to do and so much to see that you never really just sit there and exist. Story 69. Telephone skills. I am a recruiter, and I am consistently surprised by how many people answer the phone and conduct calls. Additionally, the voicemails I receive, where individuals do not even state their names, are concerning. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.